Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number, I believe, 8 here in the EMC to the Sky playthrough. I did a little more changes, just adding some windows to make this feel a little more open in here. I haven't done too much, but today we're going to be focusing on refined storage. I want to get at least the basics of this going and get to the point where we know what we need in order to finish this whole chapter out. I need a couple things in order to do that. First, I made a space down here for a basement underneath our island. We have this huge space that we made. I think I could actually go down even farther, which I probably will do. Let's see. Let's do it like this. We'll put the ladder down. Just because this is a nice big area, open up to the whole thing, and we have plenty of space to build stuff. I'm probably going to remove some of this dirt floor just to have more space. And that is because I want to have systems down here that are going to automate the creation of some of these refined storage things. Because there's quite a bit of things that are in this refined storage that cannot be EMC'd. So like silicon cannot be EMC'd. Quartz enriched iron cannot be EMC'd. So the components for them can be EMC'd, but they themselves cannot. So what we want to do is set up systems where we are taking things out of the EMC network, crafting, and keeping a certain number of those in stock. In order to do that, before we get started with refined storage, I need to do something over here in Project E, and that is to build our EMC links. So our EMC links have all kinds of different tiers that go from all the way up to the final one, but the first thing we need to do is just to make an EMC link. And so the EMC link is an item that allows for import and export out of the EMC network, quote unquote. So basically, you can use it to put in items that have an EMC value and they turn into EMC, and then you can export items using the EMC in your bank and create them. So that's what we need to do. There's a couple of steps to do that. I think we've already started some of them. Let's just take a look and see. So I know I have the transmutation tablets. We haven't made the EMC link yet, but we do have, in fact, let's put this over. Let's get rid of this over here, and we're going to put the EMC link over here so we can see what we need to make. So we need to make low, medium, and high covalescence dust. We already know how to make the transmutation tablets. I don't think we made the alchemical chest yet. We did not. So we need to make an alchemical chest. In order to make that, we just need the dusts and other items that we have here. So we have pretty much everything we need once we learn how to make this stuff. The covalescence dusts are all kind of a tiered thing, which you'll notice is a theme going through Project E. So if we use coal and we use cobblestone, we can make our first one. I also have this crafting table that I can carry around, which makes things a little easier on us. And so to make the first one, all we have to do is take one piece of coal, combine it with 8 pieces of cobblestone, and we'll get our first dust. First thing, as always, once you learn it, once you've made it, is to learn it in our system. Next is to do the medium covalescence dust, and that is gold and redstone. So we need to pull out gold and redstone dust, and then when we craft those two together, we'll get 40 of this dust. We'll teach the system how to make that as well. And then finally we have our high, which is diamonds and coal. So we can grab our coal, which we already have. We just need diamond. We take one of those and one of those, and we get this dust. So now we can teach the system to make that. And so now we have all those ingredients. We need to learn to make the alchemical chest. So that's going to require stone, the dust, diamond, iron, and a chest. So we already have most of those ingredients in our inventory, but we need some stone. We need iron. And we need any chest. So now we can go in here and we can craft an alchemical chest. And an alchemical chest is something that can be taught into our system, as well as all these other things can be put back now that we have it. Should probably clean up some inventory stuff. But so now that we have the alchemical chest and we have these dusts, making the EMC link is pretty simple. We just need to get dust, transmutation tables, and an alchemical chest. So let's grab all of those things. We need chests. We need transmutation tablets. We need 2 of those. And then we need our dusts. We're going to grab a stack of each of those again, even though we had just put those away into our table. Now we can craft basic EMC link. And as always, the very first thing we want to do is teach our system to make that. So for one thing that we're going to use this for, I'm going to do it right here. If we take this drawer and we put that down here just so that we can see it, we're going to put the EMC link in this place instead of that drawer. And we can put that right there. And then what we do is we take a piece of wheat or a hay bale. We right click on that. It says export item has been set to hay block. And then of course we have to set our pipe for export again. But now if we were to go in here and pull out our hay bales, you can see it is slowly going to add hay bales back into our system, which means we don't need to keep a stock of them in there. All we need to do is make sure that we have EMC, and that system will continue to run forever. But that is the main purpose of the EMCs. I'm going to grab a bunch of these links just because we're going to be doing a bunch of this here, so we might as well break this because that is empty now, and we'll put that away. And then we can... Oh, I don't know why those won't stack. Guess one has been used and not... It's fine. We're going to go down to our EMC Creation Center real quick. And this is where we are generating our EMC. So instead of coming down here to grab our coal blocks and our diamond blocks when they are done, let's put a EMC link right here. So this is I already set up, so it pulls out compressed coal blocks as they are made. It puts them in here. And so now you can see up in the top left, instead of just showing our EMC, it shows plus 5,184 per second. That's because as it is pulling out one of these every second and putting it into our system, we are able to get that many for our EMC total. So that means this system is now automated. We can just walk away from it. It will constantly provide EMC for us. I'm going to put one of these in. Oh, it looks like I already had one because I had this upgrade in. Okay, so good. It is moving as fast as it can. That means that we're getting all these coal blocks out. Eventually, we'll get down to the point where as soon as we're creating them, they're going directly in. And so we'll see that number drop off. Right now, it's going fully. We want to take another EMC link, and we're going to put it right here. And we're going to grab another pipe. And what we're going to do with that pipe is we're going to connect right here. We'll disconnect this side and this side. We're going to set this one to extract. And we're going to put in a filter with the advanced upgrade. We're going to grab one of these compressed diamond blocks, and we're going to do an add to tell it that we just wanted to pull that out. And that means, oop, I did not mean to set it to export. I just wanted it to be set to put in, but that's fine. We are able, since it's an export, we can also right click on it to pull a compressed diamond block out. But you can see at the moment, because it's moving very quickly, pulling them out, our EMC jumped up to plus 668,000 per second. That's because one of these compressed diamond blocks is 663, and it was putting them in that fast. We don't have enough that I can put them in that fast, but that does mean now, as soon as we have one made available, we're going to see that pop up as an automatic insertion. So when we see down here, we're making diamonds. We have currently 6 blocks of diamond. Once that gets enough that we can make a compressed block of diamond, we'll see it pop up in our top left corner, and it'll automatically go into our EMC network. So that means we have our EMC now will just continue to grow without us doing anything for it. It will just do its thing And it was, you can see right there, it just popped in 668,000 EMC added to our total. And that'll just happen passively now. So we don't even have to go down there. We can just have our EMC. So the next thing we want to do is set up some systems to craft things. So we're going to start with quartz enriched iron. And so that is made using iron, and it's made using quartz. So we could take those and we could put them into our inventory, and we could craft using 3 iron ingots and a piece of quartz. And then we could craft the quartz enriched iron. We would get it, which we did for our quest, but we'd have to keep crafting it manually, and we don't want to craft it manually. We want to use what we have already to do that. So we're going to grab a fabricator, and I'm going to need some power, so we're just going to use the same thing we have many times now with our dynamo for the moment. And we're going to do something just a little different with that this time, because we have the ability to do it now. So let's do, let's put down, I actually want to grab some cobblestone just to have something to work with. Need some blocks on my bar. So let's start just right here. We can always move these around if we decide we want to move them slightly different. We're going to put this down here. This, we're going to go right on here. We're going to need to have a pipe, and then we're going to put in an EMC link like that. We're going to put the EMC link there. We're going to grab a piece of coal. Well, we'll do a block of coal. We're going to set this as an export of blocks of coal, which means that that EMC link is going to pull blocks of coal out of our storage system, and it's going to put them into the Stirling Dynamo as soon as there's room for it. So this is now generating power. In our sequential fabricator, we're going to teach it that if we take 3 pieces of iron and 1 piece of quartz, it's going to craft quartz enriched iron. So if we put those in there, it will just craft quartz enriched iron for us. And it'll keep doing that until we have a stack, and then it will stop. So the last thing we want to do is be able to send that up into a place where we're going to store it and control how much we have crafted at a time. But for right now, anytime we need quartz enriched iron, we can just come down here, grab some. It will automatically craft more from EMC. So even though we can't EMC the quartz enriched iron, we do have the ability to make it from EMC'd items. So the last thing we need to do to make that sustainable is we need to put a pipe here. We're going to put an EMC link on either side. We're going to set this to input, and we're going to grab one of these and one of these. We're going to tell this system that we want you to export iron, and we want you to export quartz. And then if you notice, once we set this up for input, we'll have iron and quartz automatically coming in from our EMC, and it will get crafted into quartz enriched iron. Now, one thing I want to do, just to make sure we don't... Oops, I cleared the item by accident. That's not what Oh, okay, that worked. I just needed to make sure that we have a stack of iron built up here so that it will continue to stock it as fast as we're crafting. Because I don't want it to run out of iron in here and then all this gets filled with quartz and then we can't craft anything anymore. So now this system is pulling out quartz, pulling out iron, it's crafting quartz enriched iron for us, and we're going to set up a system where this is going to get transported up to the up to our house up here, where we're going to set up a little bit of a storage for our refined storage stuff. I think we're just going to put that on this wall, and then we'll have a pipe that runs down, and everything that we craft for refined storage will be down here, and it will automatically use EMC to keep us stocked on all the items that we need. Okay, we have our quartz enriched iron being restocked, and the way we achieved that is we simply made a new drawer controller, and that is up there right below the floor. And then I have an item pipe that comes down here, and we have it set to pull out from this side of our sequential fabricator, and this continues to keep the quartz enriched iron stocked. It sends it up, and we keep everything stocked in there. And we have a 2x2 drawer up here so we can continue to add to this, and we can go through our checklist to teach it how to make things that we're going to be using regularly that we want our system to be making. Our next item that we set up for auto stocking is our silicon. We're going to need a ton of this, and so I did this with a diamond furnace because these can be given some upgrades to get faster and faster. They're already pretty fast to begin with. They're also configurable with auto input and output, which is really helpful. All I needed to do for that was put an EMC link over here that has quartz and one over here that has blocks of coal, because that's what I'm using as a fuel source. And that's going to pull in quartz from the left because the input's on the left, and it's going to pull in fuel from the right, and it's going to output to the top, and then the silicon goes up that way. I also connected that to our pipe here, and we're going to go up to our storage room, and we will set up a spot for the silicon to go. And you can see now that we did, it will pull in silicon from that furnace and keep us stocked up here, which is good because, as this says, we are going to need a ton of silicon for our storage needs. Now is where things start to get a little more interesting. For the machine casings, it wanted us to craft 3, which I did. They're just quartz enriched iron wrapped around stone. I could set it up so that we have a system that automatically stocks these in our system, but I don't want to do these because they're made from ingredients that we already have stocked. So stone is EMCable. The quartz enriched iron we have set up to automatically stock. So once we get our refined storage system set up and it can interface with this, we'll be able to craft those using refined storage. So there's a fine line between which things we auto stock and which things we craft later using autocraft. And the same thing is with these cables, because all we need for that is redstone, glass, and quartz enriched iron. That much. So if we grab glass out of here, typing is not my strong suit sometimes. Then we can go to our crafting table and we can just take this and we can craft our cable from refined storage. And now this is not EMCable, but we can craft it fairly easily using items that are all either EMCable or auto stock. So once we have the auto crafting from refined storage, we won't need anything else. And so that's where we're at with that. So that gives us the basic building blocks that we need. Now we need to get into a little bit more complicated stuff. Our disk drive is easy enough to make, but this is where the first time we get into making processors is involved. And so I'm going to work on making the advanced processor here on camera, and then I'll set up systems for automating all of them. But one of the things that we need to do is to get processor binding, and I think there's actually a section in the quest book specifically for that. So it says if we haven't gotten slime from a mob farm, we can always put magma cream into a separator, get slime and blaze powder. But there are some other ways to get slime balls. So if we take a look at slime balls in here, there's a few different ways that we can do it. And I was looking through them to see which one is the easiest one to do. And honestly, the easiest one to do is this one here. So the overworld capsule is used in the dimensional resource generator, which we already made for the nether. And the overworld catalyst is made from items that we already have. So I'm going to grab a tier 1 catalyst. And then we're going to grab some rotten flesh. And we're going to grab some bone. And then we're going to use that to craft, I think it was like this. Nope, it was probably like this. We craft our first overworld catalyst, and then we can teach our system how to make this. Now, we already have the dimensional receiver learned because we did it when we were working in the nether. And the difference is now we just put this in the overworld and use an overworld catalyst, and this will get us the overworld capsules, which we only need 3 of them to get a slime ball. And then, like many other things, once we get one of them, we have an infinite amount of them because of the EMC network. All right, we've gotten our slime ball from using our overworld capsules, and if we combine slime balls with strings, we get our processor bindings. So we set up a system down here to do the processor bindings. And so we're crafting them just like we did here for our quartz enriched iron. I changed up the power so that the power goes underneath. That way I can just keep doing a row of these down and I can extend the pipe out. These don't take a ton of power, so I can probably get away with doing quite a few of them off of just one of these. We can always increase the amount of power production if we need to as we go. Let's grab some cobblestone to fix this hole I made in the floor so I don't fall through it. Because even though I have a jetpack, I often either haven't charged it or it's not a one and I don't want to fall to my death again. So there we go. We have that here. We're going to set this to extract. We're going to actually go in here and grab some of these. And that's because we want to go up here and add processor bindings to our storage network up in the house up here. So let's put processor bindings there, and you can see they're stocking themselves fully up. We've reached another spot where we have a decision to make. We can automate the process of making the processors now, which would be a little complicated. We'd have to have a way to pull the processor bindings and the quartz or the silicon out of here and send it into a crafter, which would craft it and then put it into a furnace, and then also have some from the EMC to pull in our redstone and the other ingredients that we need. But I know from experience, once we get the refined storage system set up and we can use the auto crafting from refined storage, there are pretty simple methods for setting up for auto crafting more processors. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make by hand some of each of the processors. And that's pretty simple because they're basically the same recipe. You use iron to make the raw basic processors, you use gold to make the raw improved processors, and you use diamond to make the advanced processors. And if I think if we make a stack of each to start, we should be pretty decently set up for what we need for the future on that. So let's grab some coal. And then those can cook off, and then those are going to be our basic building blocks that we need going forward. So using the diamond, we get an advanced processor, gold gives us an improved processor, and iron gives us the basic processor. And so if we look in here, that is basically what we need to make these. So this is either items that we've already made, that we already have in stock, or that we just made with the processor. So let's grab what we need here. We need a chest. We're going to need to grab a little bit more quartz enriched iron, and we need the advanced processor, and then we need one of these machine casings. So that means we can take a machine casing processor with a chest, and we can do this to get our disk drive. So that's one of the next items we need. We also need a controller. The controller just uses a machine casing, advanced processor, silicon, and quartz. So if we grab some more silicon and we do that, we can craft that. So it's like this. We have a machine casing here. We need to grab more advanced processors because we need one here. Oh, forgot. In my inventory, it's not going to work exactly as well as it does when I'm crafting outside of it. Did I do that incorrectly? Advanced processor, quartz enriched iron. I think I had it backwards. It's quartz enriched iron on the outside. It's advanced processor here. It's machine casing in the middle, and then 3 silicon. I think I had the silicon and the quartz enriched iron switched. And then the last thing that we need for now is the crafting grid. So the crafting grid is made using a grid, an advanced processor, and a crafting table. The grid requires improved processors, machine casing, quartz enriched iron, glass, and then these 2 things, the construction core and the deconstruction core. To make those, we need a piece of quartz, and we need a piece of glowstone. And then we use those combined, I think it's with a regular processor. Yep. To make destruction core and construction core. So let's bring up the grid. And we're just doing the regular grid. So we need to do... Still need glass and another improved processor. So let's grab some more processors now that they're done. And we need to get glass out of our system here. And so we're going to craft a grid. And then we're going to grab a crafting table. And we will be able to craft the grid into crafting grid. So these are our basic building blocks for what we need here. So I think for now I'm just going to stick this over here because I want to just pull off of this power just for the time being. So what needs powered is the controller, and once that has power, you can see it turns this delightful blue color. We put the disk drive down, we put the crafting grid down, and we officially have our first refined storage system. Now we can't do anything with it because we don't have any storage space. So the next part of what we're going to be working on is along here. You can see it has this list of all the things we need to do to make storage parts. I'm going to gather some more ingredients and then we'll make some of the storage parts together. One of the beautiful parts of EMC is that normally this system is moving too slow. I'd have to work and find upgrades to make it move much faster. But I have a ridiculous amount of EMC, so, well, not ridiculous, but a lot. So I just made 16 diamond furnaces, and I made 32 basic EMC links, and I set them all up so that they're all importing quartz, and they're importing fuel, and then they're all exporting through this pipe to go up to the top. And now instead of having one silicon being produced, I have increased the rate of it by 16 times, which means silicon is flowing in here pretty darn quick, which is good because I need tons and tons of it. So the storage parts are tiered, just like many things in this pack. So we start with the 1K storage parts. 1K storage parts we can craft using this recipe where we just use silicon, quartz, redstone, and glass. If we want to go up to 4K, we need to use the 1K parts, which means that we need to make a bunch of these for each of the 4K parts. After the 4K, we go to the 16K, and as you guessed it, we use 3 of those to make each of the 16K parts, and that continues forward higher and higher and higher through as we go. So let's put this away a little bit. So I'm just crafting lots and lots of these basic processors. I'm using the recipes for those to craft even more of these so that I can craft more and more things. So let's make some more of this one. And then we're continuing to cook them, make them, and then we're using those to craft the different storage parts. And our goal is to get, okay, so I need more of these, I need more glass. And then I need to use that to craft these. I craft the 4Ks, I craft the 16Ks, I craft the 64Ks, and in this pack, we can actually go higher than that because of extra discs. We can go to 256K. We can continue to go all the way up to the highest one, which is, we can do, let's see, for storage, it's 1,048 million storage part. And then after that is the infinite one. Eventually, we can just make a disk that'll hold infinite data. And once we get to that point, we don't need to make any more disks. But that disk requires these 3 of these 1,048. So 3 of these requires, each one requires 3 of this. So it would be 9 of this one, 27 of this one, 84 of this one, and so forth, all the way down. So you can realize just how many disk parts we need to make before we can do that. They also require the withering processors, which each require a nether star. And in order to craft this, we need 4 of those, so we need 4 nether stars to make it. So that's in our future, but it's down the road a ways. For now, we're going to use the 64K storage part that I made. We're going to use that and craft using this recipe with the storage housing. So we make a storage housing, and then we can use that to, we just take the storage housing and a storage part and put it in. If we make one that has a storage part and we decide later on we want to upgrade it, as long as the disk is empty and we shift and right click it, it takes that part back out and gives us the housing back. So we can always take them out to upgrade them later. But a 64K drive is not too bad to start. That means we can store 64,000 items, and we can put items into our system, and we can put anything in there. anything we want. And as we put it in, it fills up the drive. Now, that means some of the things that we put in there are going to be EMC things, and some things are not. And eventually, what we're going to do in order to handle that is we're going to build this transmutation interface. The transmutation interface allows us to connect to the EMC network. And so basically, when we have an item that we have in our system, we try to store it that has an EMC value, it puts it into the EMC network rather than storing it. And then when we are trying to craft something and it uses an EMC-able item that we don't have in storage, but we can pull out of the EMC network, it will do that. To get into that, though, we need to get into Tier 3 medium resource capsules, and we need to get our EMC link up to a Mark 6. So that's a little bit farther in our future, but that is the goal. The last thing I want to do for right now is I want to build an external storage. So we need to set this to be display, normal, and we want to do JEI synchronized auto select. So when we go in here, that means this side synchronizes with our crafting grid. So we want to craft an external storage. So what we're missing are chests and destruction and construction cores. So those were made with the chests we can just grab out of our EMC table, and then we need quartz, and we need glowstone. If we put that into our system, then we go and we do external storage. Again, we craft this, we can put one into our system. We craft this, we can put one into our system, and now we should have everything we need for an external storage. We also want to grab cables. We already have them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath our floor here, and we'll just rip the floorboards up for now, and we'll replace them when we're done. But we want to connect up to this controller. And so what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this cable. We're going to need some more pipes. We'll actually make this go through the back to connect in this way. And that way we can put our external storage. We can connect that to our thing on the bottom. We can just run a cable like this. And then we'll just connect it up to there. And we'll get back out of here. We'll replace our broken floors. And now, this quartz-enriched iron, this silicon, and this processor binding will be listed in here, because we are using this storage drawer system as an external storage for this. So all the items that are in here are stored in our system where we can access them, but they're not stored on the disk drive. Pretty cool. That also means that eventually we can empty out these chests and put that stuff back into storage, and now our storage can be digital. So like I said, we want to work on putting the transmutation interface on. We also want to set it up for wireless access so that we can access things. That's going to require us to get into getting ender pearls, which is not difficult with this pack. Also need to work on range upgrades so we have range, and eventually we really want infinity range boosters so that we can access them from anywhere. And after that, we want dimensional cards, which make it so that we can access our storage system from anywhere in the world as long as our storage system is loaded, and any other dimension that we're in. And then once we have that, that will pretty much finish out refined storage, other than the continual drive to increase our storage to the point that it's infinite, and the same with our fluid storage. So that's the basics for refined storage. Most of the stuff we're going to do for it will probably be off camera, because it's just a repetitive task of setting up systems to make more and more storage parts and to make higher tiers of the system. And like I said, you'll see that a lot in this pack. The EMCs, were with our EMC links, they work up in tiers and they go higher and higher. The same with like our dark matter. We start with regular dark matter, and then we can use that to go to higher tiers of dark matter, like red matter. We can use that to go to magenta matter, so forth and so forth. So a lot of that stuff is going to be very repetitive. We're going to set up systems to make it less repetitive by automating it, but I'm not going to show you every single step of that along the way. For now, we have our refined storage system working, which is a great leap forward for us. We can also work on doing auto-crafting with our refined storage system, and then we will really be able to take off in this pack. But for now, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.